Welcome back to Simply Garden and Home, and we're in the kitchen getting ready to make a very simple spring rhubarb dessert. This time we're going to use strawberries, which are not from my garden because it's not that time of year here in New England. But when it is that time of year, you can make this recipe the same way, except you can freeze your rhubarb. So cut your rhubarb into chunks, put them in a Ziploc bag, and throw them in the freezer. And when you're ready to bake or whatever you want to make, you pull them out, defrost them, and you're ready to go. I'm back here in the kitchen of Simply Garden and Home, which is my kitchen, and I want to show you a wonderful, simple dessert that your family is going to love. Strawberries and rhubarb, fresh picked from the garden, and a few other ingredients, a little ice cream on top, and your family is going to be very happy, I promise. So let's go ahead and get started with our recipe for strawberry rhubarb crisp. In a 9x9 pan, you don't need to grease it because you're going to have plenty of butter that you're going to add to it. You want to add your 3 cups of rhubarb. Another thing I love about this recipe is it doesn't take many containers. The other thing you're going to add is 2 cups of freshly cut up strawberries. And I was sharing how if you don't have your strawberries this time of year in your garden, you can go ahead and freeze your rhubarb, and that will work out great for a thing to make later on in the season when the strawberries are in season and not the rhubarb. Actually, rhubarb does grow, it seems like, all year, but it's always best in the spring. It's healthier, actually. I was reading for you something with the leaves, actually, the toxins that the leaves, maybe you don't, of rhubarb plants are poisonous, so you never want to eat those. My grandkids are really cute. They know that if we are picking rhubarb, that they need to put all the rhubarb leaves in Papa's compost bin. And it's as simple as that. But I heard as the season goes on that some of the toxins in the leaves actually goes back up the stalks of the rhubarb, and it's something that you don't want to eat so much later in the season. It's more of a spring fruit. But did you know rhubarb's not a fruit? Rhubarb is a vegetable. Okay, so now you know it's a vegetable. I didn't know that until about a week ago. And now the next thing we're going to do to our rhubarb crisp with the strawberries to make it extra tangy and sweet is you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. And then you're going to add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And what that will do is thicken it, and that will also help it to not be just so runny. Give a little bit of body to it as it cooks. You won't taste it because it's going to bubble up, and that will be yummy. You want to just get that all mixed in like so. So you can see that's pretty much dissolved the cornstarch and the sugar. And if you wanted to, you could do this in a bowl and then pour it into this baking dish. But I actually thought, why mess up another bowl that you have to clean? And there's less of a cleanup in the kitchen, and I can get back out into my herb garden and do more prepping for my herbs that I'm going to be putting in. And you don't want to miss that episode coming up pretty soon. I just got my cocoa shells. It smells like chocolate. I love it. So I'm going to put this aside, and the next thing we're going to do is take our bowl with a wooden spoon, and we are going to put in the bowl the topping that you're going to crumble on the fruit and the vegetable that we just put in our baking dish. So in this, we're going to put 1 cup of oatmeal. And I do gluten-free. I know some of you aren't into gluten-free, and that's fine. but you would never honestly know that there was a difference. Packed, as you can tell, a half a cup of packed brown sugar. Here we go. A third of a cup of all-purpose flour, if you can find it. I know it's kind of hard right now with what's going on, but I did have some stock. And I know my daughter-in-law said like Sam's Club out here in New England had some. And you just need that to add the crispy, crunchy top. You need a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And now you have this mixture. It's looking good. And so to this mixture, we're going to add melted butter, a half of a cup. This is looking good. I just want to stir this up. Kind of neat variation because you're melting the butter. And so this is what you end up with. Almost looks like granola. Not as crunchy as when you're cutting in butter. So a little different consistency. And one thing I'm going to add to this recipe that is not written up the way I want it written, and that is nuts. I know some of you can't, some of you are allergic, so of course you can omit this part, but I am going to add a few chopped walnuts to the top of the crisp. So now to finish assembling our crisp, what I'm going to do is take this crumble topping, put it on top. Spread that out. A lot of fruit, healthy, yummy, delicious. Let me get all that topping. There we go. And I would say about a third of a cup of chopped walnuts. Gives it a little crunch. All right, so there we go. We have our rhubarb strawberry crisp ready to go in the oven, 350 degrees for 45 minutes until it's bubbly and the fruit should be nice and tender. And I'll let you see what that's gonna look like.